going on, guys? Welcome back to the Football Capital, and yes, finally we are back with another Fantasy Premier League video for you guys. It has been a while, so let's get stuck into it. Now today what I want to do is I want to look at some differential players to bring in, especially in the upcoming game weeks. We know it's game week 23 now, so it's almost coming to an end, so every point now matters. Now first I want to start off with a few players that are chosen under that 5% mark to give yourself a bit of a differential. Now the first team that I want to start off with, now it is a bit of a risky one. I've gone with Bournemouth. Now Bournemouth, as we know, haven't really been the best. All of our gem players from last year, Callum Wilson, your Frasers, even Josh King, haven't been firing this year. But I think with them in the relegation zone, the next couple of game weeks are absolutely massive for him. So the first player that I've gone with is Callum Wilson. Now Callum Wilson, he's at 7.4 million. He has dropped. His total points are at 69, but he's selected by 4.6% of the Premier League managers. He's only got the 5 goals and 3 assists this season, but with the games coming up, and I'll get them up on the screen for you, with them games coming up and them being in the relegation zone, this is a time for Callum Wilson to get back into his goal scoring form and start firing again for Bournemouth. Also following that up, 2 midfielders from Bournemouth, Harry Wilson. Now Harry Wilson is at 5.9 million. His total points is at 65 and is only chosen by 2.1% of the Premier League managers. He does have them 6 goals, 0 assists at the moment, but like I said, with Wilson, with the upcoming games and with them battling for that relegation spots to try get out of it, he's going to play a big part. We do know that he does take set pieces with free kicks and corners, and we know how well he strikes the free kick, so maybe can grab a couple of goals from set pieces there. Now my final player from Bournemouth that is under that 5% mark is Ryan Fraser. Now Ryan Fraser, he was probably the biggest gem from last season's Fantasy Premier League. He hasn't been firing at all this season, so hopefully with the upcoming games for Bournemouth that he starts firing. Now he's only on the 1 goal and 3 assists. He's chosen by 2.8% of the Premier League managers, but we'll quickly touch on their fixtures. With Norwich away, then Brighton, Aston Villa, Sheffield United, and finishing that last 5th game with Burnley. These are massive games. If Bournemouth want to stay up into the Premier League, these next couple of game weeks are absolutely massive. And this will be a great opportunity for these Bournemouth players to get back on the scoring board and get them points for the Premier League managers. Now the next team I want to speak about is Tottenham Hotspur. Now there's some players here that I've chosen that are under that 10% mark, and then I have one also that's chosen by only under 5%. So the first player I'm going to start off with is Son. Now Son has only got the 5 goals but 9 assists, which is absolutely massive. He does sit on 91 points. He's only chosen by 6.8% of the Premier League managers. His price tag is a bit hefty with 9.8 million, so you're going to have to rotate some of the players that are in form if you are to put Son in. The reason why I think Son is a great option now with Harry Kane being out and sidelined for the speculation could be out for the rest of the season. We've seen when Son plays that number 9 role that he does score goals. We saw last season him scoring a handful of goals when Harry Kane was out. So maybe he can replicate some of them numbers to get more goals in the next couple of game weeks for Tottenham. The next player is Dele Alli. Now Dele Alli, he's a little bit cheaper at 8.6, 77 total points. He is chosen by 8.4% of Premier League managers. He does got 6 goals and 3 assists. Now, when Jose Mourinho came in, he did look like a rejuvenated player. He's maybe dropped off the form in the last couple of game weeks. But with the next couple of fixtures with Watford and Norwich before that big game against Manchester City at the end of that double game week round, Dele Alli, if Tottenham want to push for that top 4 spot, he's got to be one of the players now that stands up because of the injuries that they have. And let's see if he can hit some of that form that he did when Jose Mourinho came in. Now, the last player is Lucas Moura. Now, Lucas Moura, he hasn't had the best of seasons as well. I think this whole Tottenham squad under Pochettino at the start of the season weren't playing too well. But we do know that Mourinho loves to play Brazilians, and Lucas Moura is his man. Now he's another player that can rotate with Son for that number 9 spot. So it will be interesting to see if Mourinho does put him up there. But we do know Mourinho loves to play him, and he's been playing him in the last couple of games as well. His budget is 7.1 million. His total points are 58, and he does sit under that selected by 5% of the Premier League managers out there, with only 4.9%. He does have four goals with the 2 assists, but with the next couple of games coming up, Watford, Norwich, Manchester City, then you got Aston Villa before they face Chelsea. Some big games there. Like I said, if they want to get into the top 4, they need to start winning and they need to start scoring. Now for my final 3 players, some wild card choices maybe to look at in the next couple of game weeks. The first 2 players that I do want to speak about are 2 Manchester City players. My first one is David Silva. Now David Silva, 7.4 million. He does got a total of 85 points, which is absolutely massive, and he's only chosen by 4.5% of the Premier League managers out there. Now, I do understand the last couple of games he hasn't been playing. He did come back 2 game weeks ago, only played that 7 minutes, but played the full 90 minutes against Aston Villa, where they did hit 6 goals, grabbing an assist for himself there as well. So with all these fixtures now coming up, maybe David Silva will see a bit more game time, and especially the fixtures they have, he will be definitely grabbing more goals and assists to his name. Now another Manchester City player that I finally want to touch on is Mahrez. Now Mahrez has had an absolute cracker in the last couple of game weeks. Last game week scoring 17 points. He is at 8.5 million. Now his total points is at 106. He's only 4 off Raheem Sterling this season. Selected by 7.1% of the Premier League managers, so he does sit under that 10%, with 7 goals and with 9 fantasy Premier League assists to his name. And with the games coming up for Manchester City, you would definitely expect Mahrez, Silva to grab a lot more points. They do have Crystal Palace, Sheffield United. They do have that game against Spurs, West Ham, and then Leicester City before they go into a massive week with all the big hitters. Now, my final player I want to speak about is Alexander Lacazette. Now, Alexander Lacazette, like most of these players, they are all risky picks to bring in, especially towards the back end of the season. But for me, Lacazette, with Aubameyang now being out, he was given a red card. The ban was 2 weeks. Arsenal did try to appeal, and the appeal did get rejected. So now Aubameyang is out for 3 weeks, which means Lacazette will play that lone striker up front. And hopefully, if they also want to make the top 4 like Spurs, Lacazette needs to be firing. And I do know they have some big games in there as well. Lacazette is always up for the big games. He does have 5 goals, 3 assists this season. Now, although he's 9.3 million, he is only chosen by 2% of the Premier League managers out there. So that is a big differential, especially in the next coming rounds. If you want to climb that table, and also with your head-to-heads, Lacazette is a fantastic player to bring in. Guys, that's all from me today. If this video was helpful, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that like button as well. Share the video, and also in the comments, let me know who your players are, what differential should I be looking at maybe to bring in for my squad, and do you agree with some of my picks? Guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week.